Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Commissioner. As the Chairman said, I'm Councilman John Kroger with the Board of Health. I'm joined today by my Vice President. A list of all the questions on the final page of the handout you have. I'm going to briefly describe what this project is all about. Go to slide number 2, page number 2. The Alliance is a non-for-profit 501c3 chartered by the State Education Department in 2001 with two dual and complementary missions. Number one, to preserve the park and the amazing history of things that happened, particularly in the 18th century, but even pre-contact period before that and since the 18th century as well. And also to promote the significance of that history. I think it's very complementary to the objectives and the work of the Lake George Park Commission, and you've been a great partner to us throughout the 20 years, but particularly since we moved into the cohabitate, the building that's the Park Commission headquarters. If we go to slide 3, approximately 9,000 people have come to our visitor center since it was opened a couple of years ago. And the Park Commission has been, as I said, a great partner to us in welcoming people, not only facilitating the construction of the visitor center along with the state DEC, but also in helping us with little things. You know, I say 9,000 people have visited the visitor center. It seems probably like 8,500 of them have stopped first at your office, Dave, looking for direction as to where exactly the visitor center is. But your staff is always been courteous and very helpful. Steered them downstairs, and hopefully that's a little lighter of a load as time goes on. But not only the visitor center and helping us to maintain it, but also if you look at the slide on the right, earlier this year, one of the things we've noticed from the start was that when the visitor center is closed, people knock on the door, people try to find out information about the Battlefield Park and don't have it. And with the Commission's help, earlier this year, we dedicated those twin orientation signs so that when a time like now, when the park isn't closed, the visitor center is not open, people can get a sense of the history, where things are. There's a map contained on the orientation side and things as well. So what we're talking about doing the statue today is not unprecedented in terms of the help that the Park Commission has given us. Specifically on the sculpture of slide 4, last year, 2023, we proposed to DEC what we call a beautification of the sculptures in the park. Now, the sculptures run from 85 to 122 years of age at this point. They're magnificent works of art and history. And while we just kind of spent last year discussing what we might do to spruce up and beautify those sculptures, earlier this year, by serendipity, it truly wasn't planned. A man named Dan George, who grew up at Lake George, who's a world-renowned sculptor, called me and said, hey, I spent my childhood at Lake George Battlefield Park. I love the sculptures. I do this for a living. What can I do to help you spruce them up? So subsequently, we've had a series of, back and forth with him in terms of what it would take. He's agreed to administer, advise, what have you, pro bono, completely. And off the record, he's also donating personal funds to help us with the restoration of some of the other sculptures. For the Isaac Joel sculpture, the work will be done by a group called Workshop Art Fabrication of Kingston, someone Ian George has used previously and speaks very highly of. The Joe statue is the newest of the three statues, 85 years old, dedicated 1939. What they're proposing to do is to repair the cross. You see the picture on the left-hand side. That cross is bent. It was not bent when it was dedicated in 1939. So that probably resulted in a tree limb or something through the years. But overall, the patina is inconsistent. The bronze shows a lot of tarnish. So the other part of that, if you look at the picture on the right, you see that the granite on the side is blackened, and that's just through the age of the structure. So that project is first off, and that's what we've come to the Park Commission asking for your support for. In addition to the support the Park Commission would give, it's actually three sources have come to us offering their own funds to help us to pay for this refurbishment. So that's on the Isaac Jogues, and that's specifically what we're asking for assistance from the Park Commission to do. The next slide, slide number 5, just talks about the other two very briefly. The Battle of Lake George, King Hendrick, William Johnson Monument, which is actually the core of our logo as the Alliance. That was dedicated in 1903, and there's hatchets at the entrance gate, the wrought iron fence that surrounds the statue. Two of those 4 statues have been missing, or hatchets have been missing for Lord knows how many years. So the work proposed for that would be to restore them, recreate them, place them back on there, and to clean the bronze. For all these statues, the bronze showing their age has tarnished. So just to cleanse them and make one consistent view to the bronze for all the statues. And finally, the Mohawk Warrior. DEC is going to work to clean out basically the muck, the pond, into which the water has flown out of the warrior's hands since 1921, and to seal it so that there's not only no seepage in that pond in the future, but also to have a churn with it so it doesn't stagnate. And some other cleanup of the surrounding site. When that's done, our welders will replace the missing arrows that the warrior originally had, and to fix the wrought iron fence that surrounds it. There's some breaks in those as well that the new work would take care of. For all those, we have actually 2 foundations based in the New York City area that are interested in supporting Native American artwork, and they're being enlisted to support the funding for those 2 sculptures. So as I say at the bottom, I think everyone knows in 2026 the projection is for a beautiful reinterment of the 44 Continental soldiers whose remains were found in the village back in 2019. That's on target for 2026, and with the enhancements that DEC has made at the park this year, these sculpture renovations and beautifications we think will be a terrific facelift for the whole park as we dedicate the reinterment of soldiers in 2026, which will draw thousands of people in addition to what we currently draw there. So that's our wish, Mr. Chairman. The final slide just lists the Board of Trustees, who's on it. You probably recognize a number of names on there. But as I said, we cannot thank Dave, the Commission, and all of you who've worked so hard with us to really a nice enhancement to Lake George Battlefield Park these past 2 years. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you. We feel exactly the same way. Thank you very much.
Bennett and Maureen McCarthy. As Randy indicated, my clients are seeking a variance relative to the new low water mark. There's two piers that were previously non-conforming. They renovated last year. Part for safety and part for longevity of the dock. They came into the current standards relative to equipment standards, and they did complete that work. They'd like to be able to go up and find been some concern as to the visual obstruction is related to that. Currently, they have a permit through the Park Commission for awning. The awning has a max height of 12 feet, 30 feet long, and 10 feet long. Sun deck, we have a deck platform of 1 feet, 2 inches. Wire CP rams, copper. So what we're hoping is that actually detracts a little bit from the visual obstructions that the neighbors would have, provide additional value to the homeowner's property, as well as value. The alternatives to this would be to shift that, try to get it within the 30-foot range. That obviously, the reason they didn't want to do that would be disturbance that would cause, the money that it would cost to do that. That's this report is just relative to Sundown, the extension of that far corner of the west corner of Sundown. think about that neighbor who is feeding you. If they would have just built a structure that was within compliance, losing that one corner, that would be impact. That would they'd have just exactly the same visual impact as if they go within what they're proposing. So it seems like it's totally minimal. Is what we're looking at for that corner. Really easy. I was unable to attend.
Good morning. Yeah. I said, thanks, Dave, for throwing me in his bus. My name's Dave Hatton for the commission. I haven't met before. I'm one of the inspectors for the program. I don't like to call myself a manager because I retired from that for 34 years, so I'd like to just be one of those. All right. Yeah, got one more. I'll do my best to stay in front of the mic. I'm used to moving around when I teach and stuff like that. All right, so as most of you know, last year you created regulations that started the septic inspection program for Lake George. We're 2 seasons into it now, and I'm here today to report the results and what occurred along the way to get to where we are as of today. Before we get going, though, I have to acknowledge it takes a team to do this program. It's basically all hands on deck. You as the commission providing us with the resources we need to do the inspection program. The boss, Dave Wick, not to be confused with Dave Patton. I get asked that all the time when I do inspections. Are you Dave Wick? And I say no, and they just get that disappointed look on their face. So Dave's been instrumental in supporting this program and providing the resources necessary to do it. Joe Thuin, who has helped me put this presentation together today and does all the numbers crunching that you'll see in the program today. Justin, Randy, and Ben, who will help do inspections when we're overwhelmed with inspections for the day. They fill in and pick up the slack to do inspections. And then we have the administrative staff. There's a lot of administrative work in this program as well. So Connie does most of the scheduling for inspections, but then Kara, Kelly, and Michelle pick up the slack there and also input a lot of information in the system. The Marine Patrol, Joe Johnson, who provides the administrative enforcement of this program, along with Marine Patrols, who provide transportation if we need it to go out on the lake. And the septic haulers, who are there every day. They do a lot of digging for us. Sometimes get there a day ahead of time to expose everything we need to see. And then they have to deal with the backups at the sewage treatment plants because they are limited to how many times a day they can dump right now. and that does put some roadblocks into the inspection process. So like I said, it takes the entire staff of the Park Commission to make this program work, and I'd be remiss if I didn't add that to this presentation. As you're aware, last year you voted on a regulation to inspect all septic systems within the lake. And what I'm going to do now is go through the background of how we got to where we are as of today, what it takes to do a septic inspection, the standards for the septic inspection itself, what the results are, which I think some of you may be surprised, and what happens after we do the inspection. Where does the property owner go from there? So this is a map that was put together last year. It shows the different properties around the lake and their soil conditions. There's approximately 6,000 properties within Lake George Park. 2,450 of those, or 41%, are located within 500 feet or 100 feet of a stream that dumps into the lake. 84% of those systems have limiting factors. In that color map you can see the right shows the soil conditions, bedrock, slopes that contribute to challenges for septic systems. The average size around the lake is 0.8 acres, and it's 3 times higher when you get near the shoreline of Lake George. According to stats, the average age of the system around the lake is 50 years old, so, and some date back before that time as well. So, in April of 2023, we started the inspection program. It's every 5 years, a fifth of the lake properties that fall within that 500 feet or 100 feet of the stream get inspected. It takes a lot of effort to coordinate an inspection because we have to, number one, see what times are available for the septic haulers, what times are available for the property owner, and then what times are available for us, and coordinate those 3 time frames together to schedule an inspection. When we arrive on the scene, we're looking to make sure that the septic haulers exposed everything they need to, and a lot of times that has not happened because the landowner really didn't think about their septic system until the day we sent them a letter and said, hey, your septic system is due for inspection. So we have to dig up and find everything. We're very fortunate that the septic haulers have been proactive in this measure. A lot of them have cameras now they bring with them, so we can shortcut digging up somebody's whole yard to find a septic system like we've seen. And then once we get everything exposed, we will pull all the water fixtures in the home or do a visual inspection of the plumbing to make sure that everything plumbed from the house goes to a septic tank. And we do find gray water systems out there on a regular basis. Sometimes it's a simple fix, just replumbing the house, and sometimes it involves more than that. Once we do the pump out, we're inspecting the tank and making sure that everything in the tank is intact. And then we look at the rest of the system from there on. I'll talk more about that coming up. The program is funded entirely by user fees. There is no government money that I'm aware of that goes into the program. So it's all by the property owners who fund this inspection program. These are the fees that are involved in the inspection program. So residential fee is typically $50 a year, commercial is $100. If you have holding tanks, you get a 50% reduction in that rate for residential and commercial. And right now, from what I'm seeing in the field, the average pump out is anywhere from $350 to $500. So, and that does not include the effort to dig up the system and expose everything we need to look at. That's an additional cost as well. And that's done every 5 years. So to get the inspection started, the owner receives a letter from the Park Commission that says you're due for your inspection this year, please schedule it. And we've moved the time frames out over the last 2 years so we can get more people to schedule later in the year if they need to. But prior to us arriving on the site, like I previously said, they're going to expose the septic tank inlet and outlet of the septic tank, the tops of pump tanks, we call pump stations. If they have a distribution box or a leach field, they will also expose that. And that becomes very important as part of this inspection program because we need to see what the parts of the system are doing, whether they're intact, and how they perform under water moving through the system. We will do the flow test, or like I said, a visual inspection, and then from there we make a judgment on how the system is performing and if it needs repairs or replacement based on it. And then we'll do any follow-up that's needed Sometimes we go back and we'll list the inspections incomplete because we can't get access to everything, and we'll go back and re-inspect the property to complete the inspection. So what are we looking for? Well, basically we're looking for what everybody doesn't want to hear, the failing system. And that typically come in a lot of different ways. You only see a very few where discharge was to the surface and had the potential to pollute the lake. I have yet to see one running directly into the lake, but we have seen where they had the potential during storms to run directly into the lake. If they don't have an absorption system, or the absorption system has failed, that is a failure, and they have to replace parts of the system that are needed. Metal tanks and cesspools are an automatic failure and must be replaced. And if we see any backup of sewage in the septic tank or the distribution box or the seepage pits, then that becomes as well a failure. And then if the septic tank is less than 50% of the required size for the number of bedrooms, then that is considered a failure also. So that's how failure can come in 6 different ways. If you're considered substandard, that means you have a functioning septic system, but something isn't sized appropriately and needs to be replaced. It could be the septic tank, it could be the absorption field, and it could be repairs. Some things we typically see are repairs or e-boxes that are either cracked or damaged, baffles that are missing in septic tanks. A high percentage of them are pump station alarms that aren't working. We see quite a few of those, or missing. So those are just typically what we call substandard or other. And then anybody that has a system under design, if they call us up and say they know their system is not going to pass for whatever reason, substandard or failed, we will immediately put them into the proper category and push them out for 5 years, or anywhere from 6 months to 5 years, depending on what they tell us, and they start the construction process to get a compliant system installed. So we see that quite a bit. A lot of people are being proactive. As I drive around the lake pretty much every week, you see a lot of new systems going in. We haven't inspected the properties yet. So people are being proactive about it, which is good to see. The outcomes are, if you pass, you get 5 years. We'll see in 5 years, and hopefully nothing's wrong in 5 years. If repairs are needed, we typically give you 60 days to 6 months to make those repairs and get the system to a pass standard. If we have a failed system, we'll notify you that within 6 months you have to get an engineer on board to start designing a system and work with the local municipality to get it approved, and then work with a contractor to get it installed. We're seeing typically right now, given the backup in the engineering world as well as the contractor world, sorry about that, this is time frame starts at 6 months, but it can be extended out to up to 2 years right now. Some people are lucky and have got systems replaced in a year, but a lot of them are looking at longer than that. There are waiting lists for a lot of engineers now, and they're just dealing with the backlog of work. So it has created a backlog, which is increasing time frames to replace systems. If you get a substandard system, which means something is not up to par and needs to be replaced, your septic tank or your leach field, you'll have 5 years to do that process and complete those upgrades. And work with a local municipality to obtain permits and do the installation. So here are the results based on Joe Thuin crunching numbers and where we got to as of today. 39% passed their initial inspection. And you'll see that number is going to change. These numbers are going to change a little bit based on quick repairs to get systems to pass. Needed repair is 22%, substandard is 16%, and failed is 23%. Example of fail again is cesspool of metal tanks, sewage backing up in the distribution box to septic tanks or seepage pits. And you see pictures. These are pictures from inspections we've done in the past 2 years where we found failed systems. That's what it looks like. So based on program activity over the last 2 years, as I said before, myself, Ben Marshall, Dave Wick, Joe Thuin, Justin, and Randy all do inspections as needed to make sure the program completes inspections in a timely manner. We've done 600 properties over the last 2 years, physically inspected their septic systems. We've identified approximately 100 properties that have advanced treatment units, or what we call ETUs, which are exempt from the program, but they are required to get inspections every 5 years. And the SIP is very similar to the inspection we do every 5 years, but they also have to provide us with annual inspections of the ETUs themselves. There's about 75 properties that have done through property transfer inspections in Queensbury and Bolton, identified, and that they fall into one of the categories that we listed before. So we've accounted for 893 systems in 2 years, so out of 2,450 that were initially identified. The graph on the left kind of shows how the inspections have gone from 2023 to 2024. And as you can see, it pretty much has followed the same pattern for the past 2 years, and we anticipate that going forward as well. September, October are our busiest months. It starts to ramp up from April to the peak in September, and then October is almost as busy, and then it starts to decline in November. And we actually are still doing inspections as of today. I have 2 scheduled for tomorrow, and I know a private transfer inspection is being done tomorrow. So we can do inspections as long as there's no frost in the ground. So we could theoretically, if we understood the way they have been around this area, we could do inspections almost year-round. And we will accommodate people if we set the callers can schedule the inspection as well. This just shows comparison of failed substandard repairs and past inspections year to year. So as you can see, again, the trend is pretty much identical. We did more inspections this year, so we had some more passes this year. But the other thing that contributes to the pass number this year is we've now had more systems that have been repaired and therefore have passed. So we took that 39% up to 54% when we averaged 2 years out. We reduced the 22% for repairs down to 10%. Substandard has come down from 16 to 14%, and failed has moved about 1%. So because the time frame involved to replace the entire system or parts of the septic system. So put in simple terms, half pass and half need something done. That's about as simple as you can make it. And when I go out there, people ask me, well, how has everybody been doing? I said it's 50-50 until we do the inspection. Then we'll know which side of the line we're on. But the good thing is systems are being fixed. We're finding a lot of things that people had no idea they had problems with. And I hear that statement a lot. We don't have any problems with our system, and then we open up the septic tank, the distribution box, and it's full of water backing up as soon as we top to top. So, and they stated they had no problem with their septic system. So we're finding systems out there that would have failed eventually and could have potentially improved the lake. But I think the program overall has been very positive in that regard. There are a lot of new systems being constructed. As we said, we drive around the lake and see a lot of systems. I know we have inspected properties and we're installing new systems. So 2022, there was only a couple they recorded. Last year we recorded 25, and this year we recorded 42 systems that have been installed without an inspection. So people are definitely being proactive. And hopefully that number will increase as we go forward. After the inspection, we provide a letter to the owner telling them exactly what they have to do for the any repairs or replacements if they do not pass the inspection. The owners have to hire an engineer. All municipalities require an engineer to design any part of a new system and to get design and permit process completed for construction. We do not do anything with the permitting process. It's Lake George Park Commission. That is totally up to the local municipality or review authority. And then they provide that documentation to us once they have received their approvals and installation. And then we will schedule them out 5 years from the date. So if you got a failed letter last year and you replaced your system this year, we won't see you for 5 years from this date, 5 years from the initial inspection. So that's kind of a benefit to the landowners too. They don't have to do this every 5 years until they pass. And then, as it says right there, every 5 years, we start over again and do this whole process. My gut feeling, based on what we've seen in the field, and through trying to follow up with people who haven't contacted us, is this will probably turn into a 7. by the time we get every property in the basin that's required to have an inspection complete. And there might be some stragglers that would drag it out in the courts after that. Time will tell. So, but that's just a gut feeling based on my experience with this, and also when I was director of building codes for Queensbury and started a program for some of this. So, kind of repeated these a couple times. We did 650 inspections as of, what was that, Joe? Friday? Yeah. 893 accounted for out of 2450 required to do inspections, so we're 36% done so far. 23% failure rate going forward. I think that will continue to be about the same as the last 2 years have proven that. The big question is, was this program the right thing to do? And the answer is absolutely. The program will ensure septic systems are not negatively contributing to the lake's water quality. And it might take us 10 years to get there, but I think we'll get there. And if there were problems out there, we'll identify them and get them corrected so nothing bad happens to the lake in regards to septic systems. So, and future generations can enjoy it. Just like I have for that. We all have. Any questions? Dave said I'd keep it 15 minutes. All right. Well, yeah, it really boils down to what we found when we do the inspection. So a typical repair would be your baffles in your septic tank are missing or broken. Your high-level alarm is missing or not working. Risers on septic tanks and pump stations. Make sure you see a lot there in the pictures before where we had to dig up the property. Go back to one of the pictures here if I can. Hope I can find a picture here. Oh, I got this right there. When we go back in 5 years, that's what we're hoping we have to do to inspect the system. We just have to pop covers, not dig up the property, and the landlord has a lot less expenses to do this inspection. So, with a substandard system, that means that your septic tank or your leach pit, your leach pits, we call seepage pits, or your leach field is undersized for the unit revenue. And therefore, that will have to be replaced with an engineer working with us. Correct. Yep. So that's a simple fix. If you're set, a lot of times we'll go into houses and we'll find out they have 3 bedrooms and a garbage disposal, but they have 1,000-gallon tanks. So we'll tell them just remove the garbage disposal and now you can come on. I don't know, Dave, do you want to address that or Phil? Yes,
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
yeah.
your observations, with your experience, anything with fire failure, or anything you aren't doing?
No, I think we've, fortunately, I had experience with the Queensbury program when I came to Park Commission, and we've talked about a lot of things. In fact, we've talked about things pretty much every week. I think we've got the program pretty much now to where it's the way it should go forward. There might be some changes along the way, but I think the majority of the changes have occurred over the last 2 years to get the program up to where it runs smoothly. We're giving the homeowners the best benefit we can, and we're getting the solutions to bad systems in place. So I think that's worked well.
With regard to that, Ken, Dave, you and I talked about this summer. There's an inconsistency between the transfer law in Queensbury and the Park Commission on tank size. And you told me that we were having discussions about that.
Yes, we did come up with a way to make sure we're consistent.
So we're going to be go consistent with what the Queensbury regulation is, or are we getting them to change that?
No, we're not asking Queensbury to change ours. What we've done is we've had administrative, what do you want to call it? Administrative.
So, in 75A, the top of the one is set the tank size. 1,000 gallon tank size for one house. Number of bedrooms, sometimes it's one bedroom, sometimes it's two. Queensbury gives a 250 gallon brace for new one. We will get some pressure, kind of do the same. So looking at it, in most houses, if you have 5 bedrooms, people don't have families. Or 5 children, right? So, and these are a lot of seasonal houses, so a lot of the bedrooms are filled and now discharges. So for residential systems, because they can sometimes change the furniture, and now it's an office, right? So it's no subject here. So minimum 1,000 gallons, just one bedroom is.
Yeah, the problem with that is there is no definition of a bedroom in the building codes or the 75A, which is the governing regulation for septic systems. So it makes it a gray area, I guess. So we came up with something we thought would work for the Park Commission, similar to what we did in Queensbury. We just gave everybody the 250 gallon allowance, and I think it's going to work well in the future.
You could still have people then are arguing, even with that, because now they've got one extra bedroom.
Yeah,
But you don't want to go too far, of course, in the community discussion.
yeah. I mean, it really boils down to if it's a year-round home versus a seasonal home.
Okay.
That's what it really boils down to.
Okay. Thank you.
So like your scheduling day, I understand the fear that we first go around what we completed in 5 years. Numbers show that we're not that far off.
No, I actually looked it up before I came here. So as of today, we've had 20 where we've had no contact with anybody. 16 of those are this year, 4 are from 2023. So we're whittling away, but I think not only chasing people to get this done, but also the restrictions with engineers and contractors being overloaded with new designs is going to push that time frame off. I mean, if we cite somebody, year 2028 is the 5th year. If we cite somebody in that 5th year, they could be looking at 2 to 3 years before they get a system in.
But the good news is the second round of inspection should go much smoother. You've got a lot of data, the system will be more accessible, a lot of things improve. So that should stay within 5 years.
Yeah, I would, like I said, I think within 7 to 10 years is my personal guess.
First,
Yeah, the first go around, within 10 years, we should have it to where it should be routine inspections unless somebody had a system that didn't fail, didn't pass, but didn't fail. Maybe something has changed, the use of the property has changed, and we might still discover some failures along the way, I'm sure, or substandards where they've changed things. Yeah. Well, when I started out, it was supposed to be part-time. Now it's three-quarter time. So, in the wintertime, I'll go back to part-time. So, but I have to say, I enjoy doing what I do for this commission and the Lake Forest Park Commission. I get to see great views of the lake every day. I have yet to see a bad view. You get to meet a lot of nice people, and I have to say, 99% of the public that I meet don't give us a hard time. So, but they're the ones that have also called. So.
I just have one quick observation. I'm also serving on the Basin Program Steering Committee, and staff from the Park Commission presented on this topic on a couple of occasions. And without a doubt, this program is leading on lake communities throughout Vermont, New York, and Quebec. It's the flagship program, and I know it took a lot of time and a lot of discussions to get to the point where we were able to pull it off, but it's definitely worth it, and it's looked at by many, many different organizations around the organization. We'll cover it back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you. Now action. I'd like to come to the commission meeting. Yeah. Which truly they are. This is the subject. Not everybody owns a boat, but everybody has a use for it. Now, not connected to septic systems, but looks like 2025 Lake Forest recreational use plan. For those of you who are regular attendees of the Park Commission meetings, you often hear us refer to the recreational use study as the background of what they do. Allow you to do something, not allow you to do something, or amend your plan so that you can do something. And the only problem with those kind of studies is they get old. So we came to the determination, when I say everybody, that we need to upgrade our 2015 study. And so we started talking about this last month, in September. And the items that we're talking about very candidly in potential costs, engineers, I remember probably the last one, having a little focus on the house between Bay Park and Fort Park and some on the table. And we gathered the information. What are the on-lake changes from the last one? $1 million. One of them, turbo active increases. Technological changes. We use drone and helicopter flyover.
It was when we talked in September.
We have a drone, we'll know it's in there and we'll know it's flying. But that's a savings in manpower. Normally, they deploy things like that with cars and workload. Workload flows from understanding which staff handle. We're doing a cascade project, we're starting out what we're doing internally, and so we're working in who are some partners on this. Chamber of Commerce, one county. So what we're doing right now is we put out requests for bids to particular vendors, and we're waiting for that, and we're doing interviews. And I'm going to be here with vendors concerned, their numbers, and hopefully this time next time seems good for us in a way. It's the basis of how we.
whereas the commission would then like to see the replacement. 2009 home loan was $8,000 per home, whereas the commission of the commission required continued operation of the complete control of the replacement necessary essential for control operation at the present level, and whereas the commission has secured the necessary funding for the year's work for the offset full cost of the investment. And whereas the commission staff has prepared specifications for 25-foot aluminum control vessel for control of the there's a contract for the investment, soliciting bids, wired subcontractors, and whereas the lowest responsible bid was light proof coat and Washington State was made up. In the resolution was $253,327.71. We hope that makes it out. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Commission Executive Director is hereby authorized to execute a purchase order with light proof investment order with the Commission of Innovation Committee, consistent with the requirements of the Commission finance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no nays, resolution is carried. President Usher?
Yes, very good. Resolution 2024-48, whereas the Commissioner maintains a 26-foot 22-foot pole wall remaining open to provide organized activities of support in basic policing, flag management, property and dock inspection, damage stopping, board ordinance leadership more, and whereas the Commissioner has identified the need for replacement of this 2006 Chrysler moving seating to increase the level of repair needs. And whereas the Commission has secured the necessary funding from the Year's Work Fund to offset the full cost of the investment. And whereas the Commission staff has prepared specifications for new 25-foot side investment, has submitted those specifications to the state contract reporter, various suppliers, soliciting formal quotations as per the New York State Finance Bill. And whereas the lowest responsible quote received from Fund Upgrade was received from Fund Upgrade $79,965. Now therefore be resolved that the Commission Executive Director is hereby authorized to execute purchase orders for Fund Upgrade for the vessel loading and company response to the Commission production consistent with the requirements of the New York State
Resolution. So moved.
Second.
I'd like to abstain.
You'd like to abstain? You have one abstention. All in favor? Resolution?
Aye.
Hearing no nays, the resolution is carried with one exemption. Try to, I was drawing this back to the first year. Dr. Pratt, you decided the chairman quote, but it just did not fly out of the book. Item, and the monies that we're getting, we
therefore be resolved that the strongest support for this board, HWA management committee, hereby approve the executive director's $10,000 in support of the 2025 HWA program.
So moved.
Second made, motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. That resolution is carried. Law enforcement, Pat?
Okay, the Law Enforcement Committee met at 9:15 this morning, and Lieutenant Joe Johns gave a very nice report. And in summary, the last boat is now out of the water, and we just gave you all a little update on our new boat. We just received 2 new Yamaha motors for boat 106, and the New York State Parks and Rec purchased these motors and controls at no cost to the commission. And I'd like you to know that the Parks and Rec has given the Park Commission this year 4 motors that total about $80,000, 2 PW personal watercraft, $15,000 each. In other words, over $110,000 in equipment, which is really gladly accepted here. Just so you know, half our Marine Patrol fleet has new motors, and we're good to go for about 5 years now. And also, the patrol's last day was on October 31st, and no one has been called out since. And Joe completed an amazing annual report, and we all read it. It was emailed to us, and I'm sure if it's not on the website yet, it will be in the future. And I encourage all of you to read it. It is really very well done and very much information. So, with that being said, we went into executive session, and after that, the meeting was adjourned. And I can read the resolution right now. Okay? Any questions or additions or deletions?
You have the resolution?
I do.
Read it.
Okay. All right. Resolution 2024-50, whereas the Law Enforcement Committee met on December 17th, 2024, to review matters pertaining to the Lakewood Park Commission's Marine Patrol and the Commission's Law Enforcement Program, and whereas active law enforcement cases and their status were reviewed in executive session, and whereas the Law Enforcement Committee has reported on the results of that committee meeting at this full commission meeting, and whereas the Law Enforcement Committee recommends acceptance of this month's law enforcement report. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the commission accepts the report of the Law Enforcement Committee.
Motion made,
Second.
second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none, nay? Now comes the second most favorite item on the agenda, which is public comments, which will be followed by the most favorite item on the agenda, and adjournment. So, public comments, we've got a mic, we'll get some folks that either can burn our ears or...
Hello, I'm Mayor Ray Perry. It's nice to see some familiar faces, including my high school chemistry teacher, a class I liked so much I took it twice. Coming around to you now is just just to get the conversation started, a potential for some buoys to restrict kayaks from going too far into the basin, which gets in the path of the Mini and other large boats. I don't want to litter the lake a lot. I also want to pose some restrictions on Motel Row with their kayaks that they let the public use or their customers use. They should have flags on them. We can do that a lot from our level at the village board, but in concert with the park commission, thank you. Patricia has just passed out. Her son Luke did a potential proposed line for kayaks, maybe some buoys to restrict them from going out. They may listen, they may not, but it's anything that we do is a help. The last thing we want to have is someone get injured or God forbid killed from colliding with one of the bigger boats that cannot put on the brakes, or they cannot steer as quick as a little kayak can. And sometimes, the people are out of their depth in every sense of the word. So I just want to, start the ball rolling. Dave and I have talked about it several times. I think Randy's been and Joe's been on the conversation. So just to bring it before you guys that, it's kind of a real thing that we want to address locally, and we'd like your help with as a commission. So thank you very much.
Before you leave, this is your first appearance for the parking community.
It is
Pick up
great.
capacity.
Yes, it is. I got a lot of things I could talk about, but in the instance of everyone else's time, I think I'll limit it to.
I was looking at your shoes because, the guy you're following has big shoes to fill.
I brought my own shoes.
And I'm sure you're working on your own 15 years.
Yeah, I would have to be 102 to tie him.
Well, isn't that how old Bob is?
He's 88, but he's close. Right now he feels 102. Unfortunately, he has pneumonia, but
Oh, really?
yeah,
No idea.
he's on the mend though. He's got a bunch of antibiotics pumped through him.
We appreciate your efforts for the village. It's still alive, it's still there.
We're going strong. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I have a question for you now. So the yellow line that you shown here, it makes a lot of sense relative to the pattern of the roads and everything. What about on the other side? Is there any, I don't know if this is a Patricia question, but only limiting on the hotel side makes sense because some hotels have a paddle.
It's the density, yeah, of the boats that are free to use. But yeah, I don't think.
I actually want to do
Yes, yeah, over at the $1 Million Beach, yeah, there's
So it's only one
well used.
One strip that they can't go past the yellow line, but they can be on the other side of the 5 mile an hour. Is there challenges with that as well?
Again, also, which used to go, which I'm not feeling enough, but
Doing a great job.
The main problem is when a mini is shaping up to come to land, and when everything is shaping up to come to land, you can see the painters, the dinner crews will go out like that sometimes. That seems to be the most current problem. Obviously, throughout the lake, and I'm glad you're doing the recreational study because the density is amazing. Katherine's telling me all the way up now to Ticonderoga. We don't go there as often. We're more up and down the southern basin and up, but all the way up there are people with their own boats, personal watercraft, kayakers, etc. Fortunately, further up, the kayaks have flags on them. I think if you own a kayak and use it, you know not to have it in blue, so it's more visible. There's fewer of them. It's not when a boat is coming into land and it's subject to wind conditions and weather conditions, which also a lot of, besides the kayaks, there's paddleboards, there's the tricycles, the big inflatable, which are easily blown by the wind out further into the lake. There's all kinds of rafts, and it's the motel window, it's amenities. In my idea, it's tragedies waiting to happen from what I've actually seen. And I think that Lieutenant Johns, I want to thank him publicly again for, again, not as good as Bill, as writing his boats personally escorted me back in every cruise the last 2 weeks in August. Inbound, the captains were so relieved because we have 2 captains on every single cruise, and they're working like this, particularly in down this stretch because the hotels have provided kayaks, and I don't know how the regulation do. Young kids are on them. The kayak is heading across the bow, and maybe the kid is trailing behind, and they don't know what the purpose is. And then you can only, it takes a while to back up. I've had to come to full stop and back up more times than so it's, when they try to avoid the back swing, so if you've got kayakers here, you kind of put that one there, you then put it down here, and there's just no good outcome that I see, and we can see all captains by Nimbus. So it was excellent, and I do believe that you mentioned prior to the meeting, even though the patrol boat was there in between the hotels and the inn, people still like to get swimming on the kayaks. So it's not adults on these, it's families, it's children, it's inexperienced. It's people subject to the winds that come up. We all know that north wind comes up, sometimes the south wind comes up. It's pretty vigorous, and these big inflatable raft and tricycles and things. Very often they end up at our house. My son Luke has gone out, grabbed these people, rescued them, very experienced. They don't have no rules. Unfortunately, in the rest of the lake, there's a lot of people with their own personal vessels who also navigation. Unfortunately, it's getting more and more crowded, so we're very grateful that we're doing this study. I think it's needing to happen. Encouraging encourage you to, if you build a bigger dock, you get a bigger boat, wrap it up there, and just goes from there. So I see the overall look of the lake needs to get an intrinsic term. As our captains, even that into the Maryland and stuff, the same going out, even just going to dry dock. This lake is getting more and more. But it's beautiful, it's wonderful to be out there, but not everybody is out there. I was just told by the chief captain that he loves the movie film, drives it as often as he can. Boats will go by and rock the mow. So if their wake is big enough to make the mow go like this, and the mow's wake is not affecting them at all. And that's the speed with which these large vessels are traveling. So if you want to come down and talk to our captains to get really what's actually going on out there, we see it every day. They just try to keep everybody safe. Thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you. Yeah, I've spoken to a couple of the captains as well as Captain Bob from Hebburn from the waterfront cruises, and they're experiencing the same issues. And just if we could keep it at the top of the heap and maybe start to address this, and I'd really appreciate it.
You're only identifying one area. The question is, what about the other side or the
Right.
Basic, I know that's the town, and it has to be done by a government agency.
Right. I only have control of 1,500 feet in the village, and not even up to T Island. So that's where I would be looking to Supervisor Crucito for his assistance in intermunicipal cooperation. So, but this was just a theory. There's a lot of kayaks in this little area. A lot of resorts that have kayaks. A lot of them are in the village. Of course, stopping at Village Line. There's other resorts that continue on. This is kind of our area of concern. So yeah, the other side, sure, it is. I don't think it's as concerning as this side. Just the density of these amount of resorts and boats, that it's a start.
It's interesting what we have to stay alive.
If we weren't, I was on the phone with Luke one day, and he actually had to go put his phone down on their dock and go into the water to help someone who was, distressed in an overturned kayak.
Years and years ago, my wife and I ended up being on, it was a Chamber Comic Con thing, and we were on one of the big boats, and the late great Tom Conager, before I moved to downtown New York, was at the helm, and I had got dragged my Sandy up to the wheelhouse so I could watch what was going on. End of the story, a swimmer was coming out from one of the Tom stepped out on the outside wheelhouse and spoke to the swimmer about how unsafe it is. The swimmer stopped paddling just for a second and responded with a 4-letter word that involved personal activity, and Tom just scratched his head and said, you can't save him.
Right.
This guy was
Yeah, attrition's a funny thing.
Well, you know how we have, if you're going to rent a boat, you have to watch the video and then through the navigation rules, and if you're going to rent a kayak, I guess you have to put a flag on them. Is there, I know it's more paperwork, but is there any way that maybe in the office of these motels that are using the kayaks and the other filtration things for amenities, that they could have some safety rules or something up behind the desk or something that they could refer the guests to, please stay clear of the Mini and the Mohegan, et cetera?
Yeah,
I'm just saying
that would be a
that
great suggestion.
It might be something that would, that we are aware of this, and you may be ticketed or you may lose your life.
Also, like a safety video, like you mentioned, but there should be something that either DEC, the Park Commission, we would help create on your phone, like a YouTube video that they would have to watch in order to use the amenities that are offered by the hotel. Just a suggestion, but I like where you're going with the rules.
Dave, I've heard people renting boats and asking the proprietor, "Where's the break?" So what I'm saying is that some of these guests that come in have no idea how difficult it is to maneuver and stop, slow down a big boat.
Yeah, I was just talking about kayaks now, but the pontoon boats are another story completely. When you have 17 to 18 people on a 10-foot pontoon boat who have never driven a boat before. I'm actually aging out this year, so 2025 I have to get my license again. So I hope so. I'm going to spend the day with Skip Neshaw, and we'll see how it goes. But thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration. I look forward to continuing our communications. Thanks.
Anybody else address the question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to come up voluntarily to speak here. Happy holidays, everyone. Chris Novitsky, Lake George Waterkeeper. I want to first thank Dave for the outstanding job on the program, the septic. I did have one question, which was regarding the logistics and the pump outs that they have to schedule with the sewer departments. I know maybe more of a pumper issue, but does that become easier like in the fall, September and October, when the plant flows slow down? They can get back to me after the fact. That's all right. Yeah. Yeah. Seemed like it may work better with reduction of flow. Thanks. Secondly, road salt. Wanted to talk about that briefly because we know 50% of the road salt is applied on non-municipal maintained roads, i.e. private. It's been a problem from us. I think we've worked with municipalities, had some success with most municipalities, but not success with the private sector. Last year, 2003, LGA provided a grant to the town of Lake George for a new brine making machine with the hope to consider the development of a brining co-op, which, if the town did have excess capacity, a surplus of brine, that possibly that could be made available to privates, private property owners or contractors. So right after Thanksgiving, and we worked with Rob Landfair, he's been really good, the superintendent in the highway department, the wonderful Dennis Dickinson, and now the new supervisor, Supervisor Cressito. So right after Thanksgiving, I get back to the office, and supervisor's like, "Chris, do you have that flyer ready?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" The town actually tomorrow is having a brining co-op at the town hall for people interested in joining in the brining co-op. This is for private property owners as well as private contractors. We're excited about that. We will provide ourselves, along with Phil Sexton, with WIT Advisors, and Rob Galopoulos, who used to work with the town. We'll provide a training video presentation so that if anyone is interested in joining this brining co-op, they have to attend this training video, which will be based on the SWIM Sustainable Winter Management Practices, Best Management Practices, learn a bit about how to brine, as well as if they are interested, they will need to sign a waiver with the town and provide proof that they've actually gone through this training. So we're excited about that. It's at noon tomorrow at the Town of Lake George Hall. I think we're going to provide some sandwiches. Just try to help encourage people there. So I want to make the commission aware, and if you guys are in the town, maybe we can get you take a look at it. I don't know who does your winter maintenance, but it was good to expand. So with that, wish you all happy holidays.
Appreciate that information. Very important. Anybody else? Last call. Hearing none. Move. Secondly. Carried. So we are adjourned for the calendar year 2020.
I just wish.